Just follow the money.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
Gee, I wish we had one of them doomsday machines.
We're tanks for nothing!
Don't wreck our show, you hoser. Negative function.
You stay classy, San Diego.
I never realized how much my advice hurt people until my advice hurt me.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Does the president or any other responsible agency know about this?
Oh, hello there!
Okay, you guys aren't privy to all the new shit, so, but, hey, that's what you pay me for.
All right, I think we're live. I think we got some audio now. Woo. And it seems it's coming in hot. Hang on there for a goddamn minute, you goddamn son of a... Hold on. Okay. I'm doing ads now. That's what I'm gonna do. Hi, I'm Matt the Maggoty Rat, and today we are, pushing that, we learned this from Megyn Kelly. We're pushing gold, okay? When the world is taking a shit and the markets are crapping out and tariffs are up your ass and all these right-wingers have a problem saying shit about, like, they don't want to say Trump. They want to blame volatility. That's what they say. Volatility. Yeah, you hear that everywhere. Anyways, what you want is some gold. And you're like, hi, wait a minute. Matt, listen, I'm not a gun runner. I don't trade in human trafficking. I'm not, I don't, sell fentanyl by the metric ton. What do I need gold for? Well, it's a pretty rock. I don't know what to tell you. People like it. It's like crypto, but it's harder to store. Something like that. So, buy gold. Or, you know what? Fuck that. Just like and subscribe. Get the fuck out. Ladies and gentlemen, and scene. Wait, hold on. We're back to here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. So Matt the Maggoty Rat's going to be doing ads for us from now on. Since people have been telling me, hell, you gotta, you don't have to rely just on Patreon and stuff like that. You can, do ads. And I'm like, that's a great idea. That's awesome. I don't know why I didn't think of that myself. Gee whiz. I don't know, do ads? I should do ads. I should do live reads of like gold and VPNs. Gee, sorry, one second. I think that's a great idea. Welcome. I'll have you know, I created that background myself this morning. I even made a video version of it so we can make the ad even better. But I couldn't wait. So there you go. Yes, Matt the Maggoty Rat will be doing all of our MAGA-oriented ads from now on. I'm going to cut a few together and put them in there anytime I needed to go take a pee or chase a cat out of the room. But instead of our just like, where is it? Our sorry things are fucked up scene. Where is that? I know I have a button around here for somewhere. Where did I put it? Is this what it? Yeah, here we go. Sorry. There we go. Oops. our computer has decided to eat its own ass. Instead of instead of just having to go to that, I figure we should have some anti-ads. Good morning, everybody. I know everybody was like kind of, bless your hearts, like worried about me last night because I got so pissed off, but I feel good about it. I gotta say, I stand by everything I said twice, and I will continue to fight the good fight and preach the good word and tell you the truth about stuff. And I gotta say, this'll okay. Remember when I was like, you can track how Trump is doing by how the maggots on, his like go-to groups are. By the way, the major couldn't be with us this morning because he's running an actual campaign, so he'll be back with us next week. I'm going to be on Boston Brian's show later on tonight after my show, I think, is when he's going to have me on. We're not going to debate. We're going to have a talk about stuff. This isn't a debate because I love him and we agree on principle. The only thing we would debate is tactic and language, which I think is important. So does he. So we'll just come to an agreement. I love the guy. There isn't a debate to be had in that regard, if that makes sense. I think, and maybe we just need another word for that besides debate in the online talking world, perhaps. But yeah, Brian, best plumber ever. I agree. He's a sexy beast, and all the ladies want to see his plumber's crack in person. I've heard around. I fear for him when he joins us for the meet and grope that happens. I'm just saying. Yeah. I just think just be careful because they'll throttle you there, Boston.
Hey, careful, man! There's a beverage here, huh?
You know what I mean? So, all right. Normally, I don't do clips in the morning. We just have conversations about stuff. Yes, Boston Brian is a handsome man. By the way, hello, chat room, and welcome to the show. I got to say, I went to the gym this morning, and doing Matt the Maggoty Rat made my arm very tired. I was like, I gotta work on my puppetry situation where I'm not like all the blood's like coming out of my arm while I'm like, oh, this takes a lot. I have a lot. I don't know. I would love to see whatever the Muppet Puppeteers workout was. We basically just, I hold my hand way up over my head, and then I put a weight on the top of my fingers, and I just do this, and then I do thumbs. It's Thumb Thursday, right? Whatever the hell they do. It's very impressive. I'm just saying. And no, I'm not sucking up to Boston Brian by saying he's handsome. It's just a fact. I deal in facts. Now, one of the things I got to shut up. Okay, so stop it, you weirdo. Okay, so get an exoskeleton to help you with that. That's not a bad idea. We'll be doing some AI this morning as well. This do you like my new spaceship shirt, by the way? I feel like I've had to dress more for the actual environment that I'm in. There you go. Puppeteers probably had an elbow rest. Oh, they definitely did. It was very impressive, especially as they got older. Because I got to tell you, we have a lot of respect for Frank Oz around here.
Oh, hello there.
I mean, honestly. You need groped? All right, sure. Hey, a little consensual groping, we're all for. Is it technically, maybe that's a question we all have to ask. Is it technically groping if you want it? Because I think a grope that you're asking for is a fondle, yes? I think if you're being fondled because of the nature of just being fond of someone, I think that's how that works. Well, a cuddle is not necessarily a fondle or a grope. A cuddle can just be spooning, which again leads to some magic, a good grope is it's a great way to start your day. I'm so into semantics right now. Absolutely. Language, hey, go watch my bit about fucking unsweetened iced tea and understand I'm not fucking around, okay? Depends on the safe word. Safe words are the highest form of perversion because what a safe word is for is so your partner can say no, stop, don't and you don't stop because you're role playing. That's why you need a safe word. Like, no, stop. Why'd you stop? Because you said no, stop. I don't want you to actually stop when I say stop. Oh, okay. So can we have another word so you could say no, stop, don't without me stopping and don'ting? That's what safe words are. They're pervy as shit. Anyways, again, I hate when that happens, right? Your safe word is dill pickles. I don't know that if your partner runs to the fridge and then comes back with a jar, I just hope they can't open it or they need your help. There are a few words that are sexier in this world than I started it for you. All right, spooning is followed by forking. It's a possibility. It's so weird. You were just thinking your safe word was what? That it would be pickle. See, I think that sounds like a suggestion or an invocation to the next phase. Popcorn, is it? Yeah. I've said before, I think we need a safe word. Few people need safe words in the average world. Again, no, stop, don't, ouch, works for most people. Seriously, only people into BDSM need a safe word because no is fine. You can in the middle, ow, like that'll stop most things, right? You don't need another one. That'll work, right? Your safe word is not Boston Brian. Quit it. But so a safe word like is only needed when you're into something that goes beyond no, stop, don't, right? Usually I think for me, no, stop, don't works just fine. Ow, you're on my hair. The phone is ringing. Where's, there's a bunch of, wait, I heard somebody in the house. Like those that's plenty. Was that the garage door? These are all phrases that would work just fine in the case of this. But I've often felt that like in modern life, we need a consensual word before anything starts. A safe word, if somebody comes up to you at a party and they're like, anyways, so I was thinking about dill pickles for some reason. That what they're saying is they know your word because it's in your social media or you've said it in public or something like that. And they're game if you want. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the key party thing, right? I think Ojeda is sexy. Debate. I don't think there's any debate about that at all. Hal is feeling sexy. When don't I? But I think that's probably where we are as a society. The cat's watching. That would grind things to a halt. Absolutely. I got pineapple emoji. Okay. If somebody walks up to you and just brings up, you know what my favorite emoji is? It's the pineapple emoji. You're like, okay, they're down. Right? Nice bum, where you're from. I mean, it's a way of catcalling within the safe zone of someone else. And they can always, have a secondary code word, I suppose, that says, they're in a relationship or something like that. Or, if it's yes. Yeah, so pineapple emoji, let's say that's your welcoming word. Somebody comes up and mentions it, and you go, I like the eggplant emoji myself. That means they're good to go. But if they say, any of the other ones, it's you can take their language, whatever. I like the music note myself. That means can we just dance first? Something like that. Anyways, I'm glad we got into this. Now, are we about to hook up? Yes, it's a big key party here this morning. It's a little early for that shit. But what I will say, if I may, is that you know how I was saying you could check the temperature of how bad Donald Trump is shitting the bed by the orbit of fuckheads around him and how like on board they are, and I was saying like Peanut Butter Dickhead and his crowd were the ones that are having kind of the biggest problem, but they were still turd polishing. Okay, so unfortunately this morning in my I would call it the job of my job. there's parts of your job you love. There's parts of your job, and this would be that part, me be doing the show. For me, I love this part. But on the other side, let's see if I can find this. Yeah, here it is.
Mark Halperin was on.
Shut up. I have to, and this is why I was doing the Megyn Kelly thing, whatever. So in looking at, these kind of folks, as I have to do the job of my job, come to Puerto Rico someday. I've been to Puerto Rico. I will definitely come again. That's what she said. I'm sorry. It's that kind of morning. It's all sexual innuendo. It wasn't until I was on Queer as Folk that I realized how disgusting the phrase, "Do you mind if I squeeze in behind you?" is. Mark Halperin is a sexual predator. I agree. It makes total sense. He's on her network now. Yeah, she gave him a show. Yikes. And of all fucking people, don't get me started. We will divert everywhere this morning if we're not careful. Phil will be joining us in second hour. He'll be here in about a half hour. I want to show you this stuff. I want you guys to see. Yeah. I want you guys to see where the tide is going in the maggot media. Okay? So the title of this video is Trump has under-delivered. Trump's first 100 days sparks, thank you very much, major backlash. And I would usually, okay, let's be completely honest. A lot of, they tell you in YouTube school that if you have a viewer that expects a certain behavior from you and they count on it or even rely on it, like in my situation where you guys know my take on stuff and you want to hear the details I can give you or that I've paid attention to that maybe other people have missed, whatever you come in. And my thing is knowing a depth of detail that other people either ignore or get away from. And if I came in and I had a big thing like, I know nothing about this. Like, I can't figure this out. Like if my thumbnail said shit like that, there's an idea that regular viewers who might have faded off will go, what? He doesn't understand this? This must be terrible. And they emotionally bait you into doing this. It happens all the fucking time, okay? I don't do it because I don't do clickbait because I don't need it. Probably do need it, actually, or I'd have a lot. If I used clickbait, my numbers would be through the fucking roof, but I refuse. I'm not doing it. Clickbait is horrible. It's a terrible way to live. It's probably the biggest problem that that media has these days is their reliance on clickbait. Just telling you. Anyway, so I thought when I saw this, Trump has underdelivered, Trump's first 100 days sparks major backlash. I thought this was clickbait from Peanut Butter Dickhead and the crew. Okay? I'm not going to play the whole thing for you because it's a morning show and I don't have to. I don't have time. Let me show you where this shit is going. Okay? Chef's kiss level. All right?
First 100 days. How about we do that?
Let's
and
do
Mr.
it.
Trump. Let's see how he's done. By the way, just to be fair, today is 99. Tomorrow is 100. But we're a little bit ambitious. As ambitious people, why don't we do the day before? Everybody else will do it. And unless if tomorrow, Putin and you.
By the way, VT News, which is his valuetainment shit, .ai, become the Nostradamus. Like, they've got a fucking trained model using a ChatGPT API that talks like him. Fuck me. Like, they run ads all the time. And he's got that, like, this dude is probably, of anybody in media, has the worst taste in terms of branding I have ever heard. Valuetainment is fucking ridiculous as a name. And then their connect with, like, their version of, it's this app he has called Mimect, which is connecting with mentors, maybe. Like, what the fuck did you go through before you came up with Mimect? Jesus. Like, just saying. Like, so take that. You can't escape, like, being that shit at that kind of Timu Cenk. Easy. Yeah, Minect. That's right. Minect. What the fuck? So, wait, watch this, though. This is fucking glorious.
Ukraine, go to peace. Hamas, Israel, Iran, figure it out. The tax plan is launched and it's lowering taxes. Tariffs with China scored away. Unless if everything gets scored away, our grade today is for the 100 days. Rob, this is Brett Baer giving how President Trump was doing the first 100 days compared to his first term. Go ahead, Rob.
President talking tariffs and the economy. If you look at our new Fox News poll at 100 days job approval compared to other presidents, there you see the president at 44%, and you see his first term at 45% at this mark.
I mean, you're allowed to just soak that in and enjoy it for a moment if you want. It's a good time.
100-day mark. We have other new polls that are revealing some concerns about the economy. I mean, let's talk about that.
Okay, so that's that. Rob, I got another one if you could show as well. This next one, if I can pull up. Anyways, if I don't have it here, I thought I had it here on my computer. Okay, since I don't have it.
Oh, by the way, people are like, how is it that high? I think it should be 0. I completely agree. But yeah, you have to understand, he's got 36% are maggot lunatics, okay? 36%, something like that. And then there's another, 8, 9, maybe 10%, depending, that fluctuates all the time, that gives you the benefit of the doubt because whoever's polling, they'll try to reach independents, low information voters, and they'll always try to throw a chunk of those in the mix. So it's always padded with the benefit of the doubt crowd. Okay? There's also the same independents that give you, I don't like, 56% don't like Trump, 56% don't like Democrats. That's because the base likes who they like, and then there's the same crossover group of independents that will answer everything. And the reason they're independents is because they have this illusion of being rebellious, Rebel Incorporated. I'm not really with any party, even though every time they vote with Republicans or they vote with Democrats, they just like the street cred of calling themselves independents. It's bullshit. It's annoying. Shit or get off the pot. Whatever. Anyways, you're right. This dude is such a douchebag, Carl. But watch this. Watch his guys. Okay? Because this is where the rubber hits the road. He's controlling this. He's trying to ballast this up by giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's trying to puff this shit up. This is the best he can do. Watch when the guys chime in.
I'll go to anybody. Tom, first 100 days, Trump, what do you give him?
By the way, Tom, this guy is Trump's biggest fan on the panel. He's the guy who is all in. I'm just letting you know. Just of all these guys. All right.
Overall, first 100 days, I give it a C+, and I get there this way. An A- on the plan, but a C- on the execution. I thought he got too many things.
A C- on the execution. So A+ for bullshit, C- on its actual function. And these are his fans. Look at the signatures on the wall behind it. It's like fucking Mike Flynn and Roseanne. Like, consider where they are. Because this isn't like middle zone something, we're trying to appear balanced. This ain't that at all. These guys are fucking all in. C- for execution.
It's going at once, picking on the Fed, Powell. But I gave the plan an A, but the execution got messy. And so overall, I give it a C+.
Got messy. Is messy, dum-dum. Yes, and that is a D, you're right. It's totally. It's a D with potential. It's got potential.
Adam.
I'm right there with Tom, actually, C+, because, it's almost like a team that starts off 10-0. My beloved Miami Heat start off 10-0, and then all of a sudden they go on a 10-game losing streak.
Except they would have to win the first 10 games. This is the first 10 games, you absolute asshole. Did anybody notice that? Yeah, it's like they're doing great, 10 games in a row, they're killing it, and then this is the ongoing thing. Oh, fuck me. Yes, this is so great. This is so great, Kareem.
But I didn't just go like, this is the great. I actually went sort of by the most important issues that he talked about. The economy, inflation, immigration, the border, wokeness, DEI,
Wokeness and DEI. Shut the fuck up.
Foreign policy, peace through strength, crime, law and order, energy dependence. So each of these categories got a different grade.
Energy dependence? I think he means independence, but we'll let it slide.
And I thought that the first, month was awesome. He was signing all these executive orders. He's doing his thing.
Oh, you mean the memos he was signing and holding up like a fucking toddler with a diaper that he filled? I'm a poo-poo. Like, They're nothing. If you can't get a law passed, you ain't doing shit. It's all temporary, motherfucker.
And then April 2nd, Liberation Day, where he liberated America of like $5 trillion worth of wealth.
Ouch! Jesus Christ. They're on his side. People, do you understand? Do you understand what a big deal this is? That these fuckers, and I guarantee all of them, especially Peanut Butter Dickhead, have lost millions because of this. Not just in stocks and shit that they hold, which they're hoping will come back if they just sit on it, because that's what he told all of his followers to do. They lost it in crypto too, as this fucking meme coin came in and wiped out all these asshole buyers that buy the same coin they do. Oh, this is so fucking choice. I did, right?
And nobody saw it coming.
Fuck off. What? Nobody? All right. I'll give him a break because he obviously thinks I'm nobody. I'll just give you a pass on that one. He thinks I'm a nobody. He thinks you're a nobody. He thinks people who watch my show are nobodies. He thinks he's somebody and you're nobody. I get it. Okay. But nobody saw it coming. Nobody. Asshole. Fuck you. Everyone who voted for Harris, every single person who voted for Harris saw it coming. I would even say that people who didn't vote for Trump or Harris and stayed home saw it coming but thought it was out of their hands. Yeah, I don't feel like a nobody either. I just saying this is his impression.
So I don't understand the
math, government, how life works, personal relationships, functioning cognitive ability at all, like how to dress yourself. Jesus.
methodology for what he was doing with Liberation Day. It would have been better if he just dressed up as Liberace Day and started doing a samba dance or something like that. All right, cool, we'll deal with that. But Liberation...
Now, obviously he's trying to save himself with a joke there, but there's no root to that joke at all because he's adrift. That's why when people make jokes like that are just kind of blather, they're not anchored in what you're actually talking about. Right, Liberace and Samba, like he's just grasping, right? People do that when there is no anchor and they feel adrift. That's what this is. He's not allowed to shit on Trump, so he has to be abstract. And his abstraction, this happens all the time with Greg Gutfeld. Any joke about Trump has to be in the obtuse or absurd because they're not allowed to go, this dumb motherfucker with his flagging nunt under his chin is lying to us and is full of shit. They're not allowed to actually encompass that in a joke or in a jibe. So they've just got to make rando statements that are meant to lift the mood because maybe it's nothing. That's the best they can do. Maybe it's nothing. Okay, watch this.
Election Day has backfired.
Viva,
so
what do you give him?
Not.
And by the way, he goes, Liberation Day has backfired. And as soon as as he's saying that, Peanut Butter Dickhead goes, Vito, what do you got? Like he's trying to move on to maybe one of them will like come in and gargle Trump's balls a little just to try to carry this.
Improving right now.
I'm in the line of C only because it has not been a total catastrophe and it hasn't been a smashing success with only...
It's a C. And his description of a C is, it hasn't been a total catastrophe and it hasn't been a smashing success. C is just average. And the average isn't between smashing success and total failure. That's not how it works.
W's. It started off strong with pardoning the Jan 6ers and fulfilling a campaign promise to right that wrong in as much as humanly possible.
In as much as humanly possible, which obviously includes releasing people who beat cops and their own wives and threaten their own family with violence and brought guns and explosives and shit like that and helped build a gallows and all that kind of stuff. That as much as humanly possible, obviously, ladies and gentlemen.
You got RFK in, and you got RFK and Tulsi doing their thing, which is fantastic.
What are they doing? Okay, I'll give you RFK is doing stuff. He's doing some democratic points around like food additives, which is hilarious, which Republicans were always against until RFK is doing it for Trump. And he's helping kill kids off that don't deserve to live with measles because they're useless eaters or something right-wing Ayn Randian about that. Like, well, if they were meant to survive, God would have, whatever. He's using measles like God intended. That's what he would be doing in terms of whether. What the fuck is Tulsi Gabbard doing besides participating in signal chats? What is she doing? For real. What has she done? What? What's the big Tulsi Gabbard fucking dunk? Have you seen anything other than like helping Russia hack into fucking, I don't know, Pete Hegseth's phone? What is she doing?
On the immigration issue, he's going hard, being stopped by the courts, but going hard nonetheless and sensitizing America to how serious the problem is. And
he's sensitizing America to how serious, meaning brown people, murder, killers, blah, blah, blah.
How compromised and weaponized the courts are. Where it gets weak is, I'm going to focus on the Epstein just because, as far as I'm concerned, it's sort of that was a litmus test promise of the campaign.
Oof. Oof. What'd I tell you? Remember how I told you that was the fucking, like, that was the little breaking point I kept seeing with these people, especially after that Pam Bondi fucking stunt with the fucking binders, right? Remember that shit where they're all walking out going, I've got the Epstein files. And it was just like redacted cut old shit that was out and already available, right? And then she just fucking forgot about it. There was a whole big thing. I've got 40,000 documents in my office. There's 4,000 on my desk. I'm going through them tonight, right? Like, we're going to release them at 8 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to just redact a couple of things about the fucking, the details of the victims, and then that's it.
Where Pam Bondi illustrating that she's either over her head, unqualified, or there's something more sinister going on.
I choose all of the above. I'm going to go with all of the above. Definitely unqualified, definitely in over her head. But I would also say she works for a dude who's all over those fucking files, who Jeffrey Epstein said was his best friend for 25 fucking years. Good Lord. But hey, they're waking up to this. Do I think these guys are the ones we offer an off-ramp to? And, yes, thank you for waking up. No, they're never going to get there. But they're the canary in the coal mine, kids. This is what you're seeing. The canary has fallen off the perch and is laying on in the little fucking cage box that you're carrying in the coal mine, going, and they're doing like this. Like, I don't know. I think he looks like he could fly again. Like, that's what they're doing right now. Listen to this shit.
Making bold and big promises and then fumbling those and leading to more questions than answers. Like, they were supposed to release those documents, and now, instead of releasing the documents, the Epstein files, the lead witness is dead within the same period of time.
It's weird. It's just like the last time Trump was in charge, when the actual guy himself was arrested and dead, and all the stuff that was seized from the island by the FBI never made it to the mainland. I wish these guys probably know, what is the connecting tissue between fucking 6 years ago and now, where people around this are dying before information can come out and fucking hell. Yeah, so he's talking about Virginia Giuffre, the Prince Andrew victim, who was an Epstein victim, who committed suicide. Bless her heart. Heartbreaking. If indeed she did, right? And it's very well possible that she did, because being a victim of that kind of violence at that young an age sticks with you and fucks up your life. I mean, they count on that all the time. That's why like fucking Dershowitz shits on all these, like, well, these women are drug addicts and weak, and they made all these questionable choices. Like, yeah, that's what happens when you've been sexually trafficked. The rest of your life doesn't play out as normal. You carry that fucking baggage. Especially if the dude who did it, his best friend becomes president, and his personal attorney is another fucking gropey McScumbag. The fact that these guys can't tie that together is either they're either in over their head, completely stupid, or something more nefarious is going on.
And so you'll have your questions about that, but that was a campaign promise that, by not fulfilling, will lead to skepticism among the hardest of the hardcore base.
You think? Sorry, no, it won't. I disagree. No, it won't. No, it will not lead to skepticism amongst the base, because if they had the capacity for skepticism, they never would have voted for the motherfucker in the first place. They would have noticed he was friends with Epstein for 2.5 decades, that there's video of him fucking partying with the dude, and that he claimed his mentor was Roy Cohn. Jesus, like, with friends like that.
But by and large, it's been transformational thus far.
Has it? Yes, we have transformed a functioning economy into a shit show.
Room for improvement, and if
you really room for improvement, I don't know. Do you even maggot, bro?
he starts off with an A, then where does he go from there?
Well, as we all know, the last time he was the president, he came in, he was being spied on, and the Russia collusion thing happened. He couldn't be the president because he had to worry about that for 4 years. Now that he comes in, he has to worry about the 4 years of just the destruction that the Biden administration, I don't want to say Joe Biden, his administration did to get us all those things at him.
Yeah, it's not his fault that the stuff he's doing is fucked. It's that he's doing stuff that's fucked because things are fucked even though people didn't think they were fucked, which is fucked. You know what I mean?
Invasion, where all the mass deportation, all the inflation.
Look at him looking at his notes. Somebody's got to fucking try to blow some fucking hot air back in this balloon.
The economy. He was left with crap, but if you...
It was literally a Goldilocks economy in the best shape it's been in years.
Think about it. The border is secured. Have you seen the border shut down? Okay, mass deportation. I don't give it. I want everybody to get the hell out of here.
They aren't happening. There's not a mass deportation. Now, one of the reasons might be that all those border numbers you were hearing for years were encounters because they were putting people back out, and those people were coming back in because of the nature of Trump's program when he left in 2020. That said, this idea that there were 25 million people, which Trump still pushes, where the fuck are they? Where are they? Because at this point, he's scooping up fucking visa overstays and people who've already been through the court system and gotten a stay to be allowed to stay in the fucking country. Or fucking women and children. Where are these tens of millions of people that came in and they're from asylums and they're dumping prisons, all the prisoners in the world, 25 million of hardcore violent predators dumped into the where are they? Hal, besides us who watches Peanut Butter Dickhead, he's got 6.8 million subscribers. This video has 127,000 views. Now, I guarantee its watch time is ass, because as soon as these guys started talking like this, everybody who watches this show regularly turned it off.
And we're going to get into the judge stuff later. Tariffs reinstated, which, guys, these deals behind closed doors, the India, the Apple thing, everything's happening. Everybody's panicking. They need to chill.
Yeah, they're happening. These deals are happening. He knows. He's talked to the people who know that the deals are they're dealing. There's a deal. These are real deals that are happening.
With all that.
By the way, if that is easy to believe if you don't read any of the economic newspapers or the Market Watch or Bloomberg or watch Fox Business.
Signing the federal law banning biological men from playing with women, all the stuff, declaring cartels, terrorists and all that. I think he's doing a good job. I'm going B- because I'm with...
B minus. Oh, this is the best. This is the guy who's all in as best he can. B minus is the best Trump has gotten so far from these guys. Do you think Trump will? I mean, you think somebody in the press corps could go, we know you're a big fan of Peanut Butter Dickhead and all of his guys. They all said you get somewhere between a C minus and a B minus for so far in your first 100 days. How do you feel about that? These guys would be fucking shipped to a gulag. They'd be trying to, they'd look at Peanut Butter Dickhead, assume he's here on a visa and try to kick him out of the country.
Viva, again, I still believe like the accountability matters. And if we're going to be clean house, you have to clean all of it.
Vinny, why isn't he an A? Because you just were like, he did this.
Because
why is it a B
because I'm
minus?
with him. When you promise something to me, and you guys know where I stand when it comes to children and what they've done to children, and you just nailed it. The number one accuser of Epstein, of Ghislaine Maxwell, of Prince Andrew, the last one,
of Alan Dershowitz, who Donald Trump hired to be on his legal team multiple times.
Suicided herself? Are you after she was hit by a bus, she looked like she was beaten up, she recovers, and then she wants to kill herself after she wrote a tweet saying she wouldn't do it? That to me is the biggest travesty, and I've said it before. Let justice be done and may the heavens fall. I don't care. If we're built on that blackmail and that disgustingness and you promise it to me, that's a B minus for me because I want.
That's a B minus. Holy shit. If your entire presidency is based on a lie and you were partially responsible or completely responsible for a woman's murder made to look like a suicide because you're in the Epstein files, I give you a B minus. Fucking hell. Like, dude. We need to give like an award for shiniest turd. I swear to God. Like the shiniest turd award goes to this asshole. Just polish the fuck out of that thing. You give a B minus to somebody where you just insinuated that they suicided a woman who was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein's?
I want them all exposed because that's what we're sitting on.
Okay,
B minus.
so let's go.
And by the way, as soon as he starts talking about that, look at the vein in his head. And let me tell you something. I don't like this guy. I think he's full of shit. But I'm with him on that part of it. Anybody engaged in that shit, fuck them. Go to jail and stay there forever. Gray by gray room with a tiny little fucking window. And maybe after 35 years, you're allowed to be moved to Anthrax Island. I don't care. Fuck those people. The difference is that I could say, if it turns out to be Bill Clinton was a part of that, fuck him, send him to jail. I don't care that he's a former president. It wouldn't matter to me. And anybody who helped prolong that stuff or whatever, they can go too. Seriously. I don't care because my values aren't predicated on the behavior of someone else. So if they fail because they were pretending to like or care about the things that I care about, and they turned out to be a liar or defrauding people like Avenatti or somebody like that, fuck them. Who cares? Why? I have no problem jettisoning someone like that. Right? These guys can't. They just fucking cannot. They're not allowed. There's I would put it up to cognitive dissonance or paid to be a liar. But their inability to just kind of be honest about who the fuck Trump is and his involvement in this is it's breathtaking. It's it's impressive in how awful it is. So, anyways, let's
through the way I'm grading.
I think he gives his last.
Okay. To me, if you look at the way we grade everybody that's here with us, it goes off of A. A stands for attitude. I love his attitude. I think he's having fun.
A does not stand for attitude. I love his attitude. I think he's having fun. Especially as Virginia Jeffrey was dying. While he's golfing instead of going to while our soldiers are coming back from Lithuania. I love that fucking attitude, right? He's hanging out with the Saudis while making deals and talking to Israel about bombing Iran. I love his attitude.
I think he's playing loose. I give him an A for attitude. Effort, he's working his ass off. No.
Sorry. Are you Wait a minute. Does this asshole think that the alphabet starts with the vowels? A, attitude, I love him. E, effort, I give him everything. I think he's awesome. Oh no, he shit the bed with the tariffs. And you guys know that it's not his fault. B is, fuck me.
Nobody is sitting there wondering if this guy's working or not, period.
What do you... We're wondering if his fucking brain works, dummy. A-E, Jesus.
Teamwork, his team is working very...
A-E-T, what the fuck are you spelling? Where did this fucking... Okay, wait. Is it Etna? Right. He's like... A-E-T... I'm giving fucking... Jesus Christ. Eat me? Is that what he's spelling? Eat shit?
Very well together collectively. Better than what it was the first time around. Not a lot of people have been fired. It's not...
That's not good, though.
Been as chaotic as it was before.
Yes, it has. He just won't fire the chaotic people.
Regards to how the team was. Before, you're like, you couldn't know who to trust, any of that stuff. And then you have innovation, creatives.
I-C, A-E-T-I-C, A-Tick.
Some of the stuff that they're proposing, Greenland, all this other stuff, I give it an A as well for that. But
sorry, another A. Beg your pardon, my mistake. Another A for annexing Greenland. I don't know. We may have a honorable mention in the turd polishing awards.
Results, it's C-. To me, they're great right now, C- on results.
I think that's what settles it. C-. None of the other ones had a minus or a plus. They were just letters. A C-. C fucking minus.
First 100 days. When you go purely with results.
Purely with results. C-. So, see what I'm saying, kids? Like, this stuff is, like, again, these guys are on his side. A for effort, C- overall. And like, he's, the best he got was a B- from the dude who thought the Epstein file fuckery is the be-all, end-all issue for him. It's like, whew. So I just wanted to share that with you. How can these people stand themselves? I don't know that they can. LMNO tariffs, yeah. F-. Right, yeah. Isn't it crazy? Right? Energy. I pity people who missed that one. We got to make an ad. Energy by Glenn Beck. Yeah, I don't know how they fucking, yeah. So, again, where are they getting this? Where's this coming from? Where's the, why is this such an extreme on their side? Like, I give him an F- too. I don't even think he fucking charts. I mean, I feel like there's just a remedial issue with him entirely. This is why. Let me move this down here. Heartbreaking. Yanked funds plunge Utah farmers into risk of suicide. Josh Dallin spends his workdays talking to Utahns? All right. Who raise cattle and grow crops, and knew that many were in distress. Everyone from neighbors to fertilizer dealers to equipment suppliers were telling him they were worried that a farmer or rancher they know was on risk of suicide. Then in 2023, with money allocated by Congress, Dallin had new help to offer. As executive director of the Agricultural Center of Utah State University Extension, he had scores of $2,000 vouchers that Utahns working in agriculture could use to get free therapy. Dallin offered it. Farmers and ranchers across Utah accepted the money, which ran out in just 4 months. well before he expected, and his office started turning people away. It convinced Stalin of the deep need in the state's agricultural communities and people's openness to getting help when cost is not a barrier. It was heartbreaking, he said, to have put the brakes on the program. The money for the vouchers was part of a one-time $28 million allocation sent to states to help Americans producing food handle the extra stresses of the coronavirus pandemic. Any state that applied the U.S. Department of Agriculture was awarded up to $500,000, which was used to hold trainings, start hotlines staffed by mental health workers, and like in Utah, provide therapy. With that funding now mostly spent, leaders in some states have tapped state funds or leaned on private donors to ensure mental health support. Utah has not, at least according to one legislator, and has no intention of doing so. Because the stress hasn't gone away. What is this? Yeah. That's the issue. The stress hasn't gone away. And it's not going to. It's going to get worse. So, Phil will be joining us in just a couple minutes. He'll be probably popping in. Hit that like and share the show if you would, ladies and Germans. And where's me? There we go. And let me go back to you guys. Hi, chat room. Patreon.com/HalSparks, yada, yada, yada. Then why did you vote for Trump, farmers? Exactly. Well, that's the issue. It's because they were bullshitted. Now, a lot of them didn't. Let's be abundantly clear. A lot of them did not. There's just not that many of them. There's a lot of farm workers that work for big agribusiness, many of whom who are cajoled and pressured into voting Republican in a lot of these situations. Yeah. Yeah, please like Al whether you like him or not. Yes, that's fine. I think I have a valuable voice in this conversation. Yes? Yes? Real quick, let me show you something else. This will probably piss off, while we're waiting for Phil, this will probably piss him off. Similar situation. Let me see if I can... This is a interview Megyn Kelly had with this dipshit who, let's see, where is it?
I like wood.
Tucker Carlson.
Deeper and longer.
Was on the Shrinking Megyn Kelly show. Someone get her a sandwich, please. Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson on what's really happening with Pete Hegseth inside the Pentagon. Now, we all know Tucker Carlson. We saw his interview with that dude, and he thinks that I said goon and dude at the same time, and it came out good. I think that works. If you hear me ever say good again, that's what I mean. And I'm not talking about cheese. So she's interviewing him about this stuff, and I think there's. Let me see.
The show recently, and he had something interesting to say about you. And
okay, so she talks about Mark Halpern and how Tucker's the voice of whatever.
Up next with Mark Halpern, and that's part of.
Okay, so hold on one second. Let me bring in our dear friend Philip Bittner is going to be joining us, and then I will. There he is. I see him just fine. And let me. Oh, sorry. I've got to turn on my window so he can see me. And then there we go. And Phil, I'll bring you in. There you go. Yeah. Don't tell me about it. Okay.
God.
Here, I'll bring you in real quick. Just in this situation. Hold on. Let me. I've got to update this little thing because it gets weird.
It's a very disturbing.
Oh my God, the two of them together. I mean, for real. Whoops. Hold on. Wrong one. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Ugh. So, I'm,
yeah. I have very mixed feelings about Megyn.
Yeah. Well, you know, we
were
all
attractive woman, but my God, she's evil.
Yeah. And we were all on her side when, she was one of the kind of like show ponies of the Me Too movement because what happened to her is horrible.
Well, and they're both at a weird place in their careers because they've left the mothership.
Yes.
And so they're out there trying to create something new, and they're both, of course, obscenely wealthy. But Megyn in particular, I mean, Tucker's got that TV dinner movie, but TV dinner money, but. Megyn got a huge
settlement.
Settlement. Well, and then went to NBC, and it just wasn't clear. I think it was NBC, and it wasn't clear. It clearly wasn't working out. She just got to walk away.
Yeah.
Just took all the money from the contract. So they're both incredibly wealthy. They don't have to be doing this.
No.
They could walk away and sit on a beach or be influential in other ways. You don't have to be in front of a camera. But
well, you do if this is about, right. There you go. It's about their ego. Yes.
Their ego it's so important. Look, I worked with Laura Logan for a decade. And you've got Mariam Williamson in your past.
Yes.
So you understand the mentality of these people who are desperate for some kind of validation and some sort of relevance, that they must be in front of, that they must be in front of the camera. They must be, exerting some sort of, and of course, ironically, I'm saying this on a podcast. I mean, and you are a freaking stand-up comic.
Right. No, I'm singularly all about ego. I get it.
I'm absolutely aware of ego. I'm absolutely aware of ego.
Yeah.
But when what you're trying to do is to provide analysis or information, and you must balance your own ego with the responsibility that comes with it. And these people, Megan and Tucker and Laura, and not you, Hal, and not me, okay? It would be obvious if we were. But these guys aren't doing it for money, and they're not doing it
because they have a need to be right or helpful.
They believe in.
Right. There's no ethical
that you're
base.
providing a service, or that you have a certain amount of expertise, or that you firmly believe that you are, I mean, maybe they do. Maybe that's the fine line.
I think it could be.
Having spent time with people like this, I am more skeptical that it's more about them being relevant, and them that their ego must be, appeased by, like, look at me, I have something to say that is so, because again, with the money thing and with the, there's something wrong.
Well,
with
I think the key might be that what the fuck else are they going to do? Because I'll give you an example. Like, Megyn Kelly comes straight from Fox News and does this for a living. This is just a natural extension of her continuing to do what she does. She's a lawyer. She's a trained lawyer, but she brings that up a lot, but she's not a practicing lawyer, hasn't been since she graduated. I don't know, at what point was she part of a big firm other than somebody went, wow, you're a telegenic lawyer, we should have you on Fox, because the boss loves chicks like you, which is really what the fucking thing is. I mean, look at whoever's in the center spot on Fox and Friends. It's fucking gross. They sit there in a short skirt with this fucking pot of flowers right where their crotch is, so that pervy people that watch Fox Morning Show can go, one of these days she's going to Basic Instinct me. That's what the purpose is. It's fucking gross. And that's why she was hired, and everybody knows it. So there's no other job she's going to do. And what do people think Tucker's going to do? Take over fucking Swanson and run the company? He doesn't know how anything fucking works for real. He doesn't know, his job is to be an entertaining liar for a narrow band of people who will pay for it. That's the only skill he has. It's it. He has no other work without it.
And again, with the wealth that these people have, they could just simply walk away, or if they firmly believed in the ideology that they propose to believe in, they could work behind the scenes.
They could do it for free.
They could do it for fuck. They could absolutely do it for free. They could.
All the money from the show and ads goes to a charity of my choice. I believe in helping the vets or something like that. So none of the money I get from the ads goes straight to them. They could totally afford to do that. They will never run out of money if they spent ridiculous amounts at Tiffany's every single fucking day for the rest of their lives.
And if they did it behind the scenes, they wouldn't be, the money and the influence that they were exerting would not necessarily be tainted with their public persona.
Right.
So it's again, so if somebody goes, if Tucker goes to a NGO and he says, I want to support you, put my face on everything, that NGO is going to have to accept that they're going to be tied to Tucker.
Like
right?
Elon Musk
but if
and
he
Doge.
Just goes, like Elon Musk and Doge. But if he goes to an NGO or she goes to a whatever, some sort of think tank or whatever, either one of them goes and says, I don't want to have this attached to me at all. I'm a multimillionaire, but I believe in what your cause is.
Right.
So I'm going to funnel a whole bunch of money to you, but don't ever mention me because it will then carry political weight and it will, there'll be controversy and but they don't. They don't do things like that.
No.
They go in front of cameras. It's not, this is disingenuous.
Yeah.
It is all about ego. It's all about greed. It's all about
emotional greed.
About the information.
I would say emotional greed.
But also because they can get a cult of personality going, and that will yield them a whole lot of money. But it's not. Look, I've seen this. You saw it with Miriam, I'm sure. I saw it with Laura. I interacted with Tucker on a few occasions, but I've never met Megan. But I don't have to. I know the industry from which they come. I know how they foster ego, how they the networks, because they want personalities like this, because they're lucrative for the network. They foster this kind of ideology and this mentality. I mean, Laura never should have been on 60 Minutes. Laura should never in a million years have been on 60 Minutes. But it was in a period where they were looking to find somebody that they could sell as a war,
correspondent,
run and gun.
And she was telegenic at the same time. And
right. And she was in Iraq with us, and she was doing the whole thing. And so 60 was kind of forced to bring her in. And then it was also Jeff Fager, who was the predecessor to Bill Owens, who just recently resigned. Fager was caught up in the Me Too movement, so he had a whole thing. Fager had a whole thing, by the way, as long as we're spilling tea.
Yeah.
Fager had a whole thing. Every year, CBS would put out a Christmas video where, like, all the bureaus would put together a little, hey, happy holidays from Moscow, or hey, this is the London Bureau.
The Green Zone.
Hello from Atlanta. Merry Christmas. And every CBS bureau would do it. And CBS 60 Minutes would do one. And every year, Fager would have this is so creepy. He would have all the young female interns in his segment in the 60 Minutes kind of happy holidays from the 60 Minutes department. And they would all be like 22-year-old girls, 26-year-old girls who were thrilled to be at 60 Minutes, but who would do these kind of it's just.
Yeah.
That the industry is so filled with, and that's CBS. Fox was magnitude, levels of worse kind of like misogyny and all the rest of it. So, look, people like this, and sadly, to see people like Bill Owens leaving 60 this week, or within the last week and a half, there are lots of people working in the industry that are sincere, professional, hardworking, dedicated, but they're crushed under the system. And if they're people like Megan or Tucker or Laura, they will always eke out another way to find that spotlight, because it's not about the work. It's about look at me. So anyhow,
one of the things I wanted to show you about that thing, and I'll see if this goes towards sort of Hegseth and stuff. And we got some questions from the chat. One of them, which was a question for Phil: Ukraine kicking ass? ? And they're definitely doing some. So we'll talk about that in a minute, because it is having Trump's unconditional support for a while hasn't helped them gain any ground, and now that might be slipping because Trump is he's got like an embarrassment threshold where, because he has no shame, but he can be embarrassed, that it just goes up to one level. And by the way, I'm hearing some slapback on you. Let me see if I can fix that on my end, but
I don't know. I don't know why it would be on. I don't know why it would be on my end. The ABC thing was an embarrassment.
Yes. Oh my God.
The interview with ABC.
I'm going to cover that later today on my show in the afternoon.
But that I think that was partly coming off the back of his ugliness about Sikot and
the prison and all
the
that.
MS-13 the MS-13 tattoo in parentheses.
Mm-hmm. The photoshopped MS-13 on the guy's knuckles, right?
Right, and the ABC correspondent was so desperate to get off of that to go on to Ukraine that I think his Ukraine answer was kind of a
tainted
result
by
of him.
I agree.
Yeah, we're already we're now in a position of
he also gets in a situation where if he assumes you're for something and he suddenly doesn't like you, he'll be against whatever you're talking about, even if he's not later. Let me play something for you real quick. See if I can find this moment.
MK Media Podcast Network. Sorry, next up.
This is totally right. There is a group, I think it's partly ideological, that would very much like to see Pete out. I'm on this, I'm of course close to Pete, known Pete a long time. We had the same job. I know you are as well. And so I'm strongly for Pete. But I do think that a lot of the drama at the staff level in the Pentagon.
Wait a minute.
We'll get.
I know these. That's not a good thing. These people are moronic. Just because they sit behind an anchor's desk doesn't make them enlightened. Okay.
Or compatriots in it. The point I'm trying to make is that he makes this whole thing about it's the people like don't want war with Iran, and he was pushed out by the other hawk, the Iranian war hawks. Then I think this is when this is I mean you can't go wrong with fucking dipshit's face.
Oh, hello there.
Anyways, so check. Okay, I think she jumps in here.
So after you sat with Dan Caldwell, which was a great interview and it hit last Monday, everybody should listen to it. We wound up speaking with one of the other guys who got fired, Colin Carroll. And he had a different take on it. His take was, I mean, he didn't put it in this exact way, but he said, they're having these fights with this Joe Casper, who's Pete's chief of staff. They couldn't get along with this guy. He couldn't get along with them, like pretty much all three of them. It sounded like maybe he felt threatened by them. He denies that. He says the office was running fine. Just look at the results. But they seem to say this guy was an obstacle that they were trying to get around. And I think they think he was out to get them, and he thinks they were out to get him.
Okay, so that's the primary thing with these assholes is that they, on the one hand, Tucker is trying to run this whole game on his viewers that the Pentagon is full of Iran hawks. People who just want to bomb Iran, just like McCain said, even though that's a Republican retort that he was making a joke about, not within the Pentagon. The Pentagon will do what it's told, and the Pentagon has probably 50-50 people who want to blow up everything and don't want to blow up anything. And so they vacillate between the two. Or I would say 80-20. There's 10% that want to blow up everything, 10% that don't want to blow up anything, and 80% who are thinking this shit through all the time. And they only ask the other two groups every so often is that if we're going to have to do this or have to stop doing this, we'll talk to these guys. That's pretty much how it plays out. But the fact that he's selling this whole idea that Trump wants it, Netanyahu is either whispering in Trump's ear or Trump is all in on this idea that he's going to go for destroying Iran or that he's on the fence and they're worried about somebody tipping the fence one way or another to convince him to go in, right? That's the reason why everybody's after Hegseth and trying to broom out all these other guys because they're the guys making sure we don't go to war with Iran. And she's basically saying this is bullshit. They're just a bunch of assholes. It's like middle school. They're just yelling at each other and it's a big fucking like dick measuring contest and nobody's impressive. And I feel like while that's going on, we are, I feel like Ukraine is benefiting to some degree with Trump's attention being drawn away from being too much on Ukraine. I think you're right about that interview where he was just kind of like angry and pissy because he just I mean, it's a fucking reed in the wind. But that the next time somebody else says, Putin sent in rape squads into Bucha, he'll go, oh, it's terrible and stuff. And I told him, Vlad, you got to stop it. And then they're everywhere we look. And I don't know what's the latest word on talks or the idea of a ceasefire. There was supposed to be this one this week for 3 days.
Well, that's Putin. Putin wanted to do a break because the 9th of May, Victory in Europe Day is coming up, and they do a whole. I mean, it's the Second World War in Russia isn't just history; it's religion. And also he's getting people to come. More people would come normally, but I think this year he's relegated to, again, like the Central Asian nations, and I think probably Iran will send a representative, and DPRK will send a representative. But he's connecting it with the great Fatherland War. The Second World War, and Ukrainians are like, whatever. They don't believe in any truce. There's been speculation that like the Ukrainians might try and chuck a couple of rounds over during the build up to the parade and. And all that, but I'm just going to check something here.
Well, when you were on Saturday, and I talked earlier this week too, but Boston Brian mentioned that his impression was that this was just a way for the Russians to reload, essentially, that they were presenting this because it would give them a breather to gin up more effective attacks, right? And that's unfortunately the world's push for ceasefires all over in all these different conflicts. Whenever it's brought up, the side that feels most dominant is like it's like in a sports game where you feel like you have the point advantage, and it will give your players if there's a flag on a play, it gives your guys a chance to rest, right, and bring people in, a fresh team in, or whereas the other guys are already exhausted, or you've got an advantage. So any break in the play gives you an advantage in that situation. And so they all look at it that way. The Kellogg said that Putin's proposal, let me show you this real quick. Putin's proposal for a 3-day truce, let me see if I can shrink this down so you guys can see it a little bit.
Is absurd.
Was absurd. Yeah. And he's right.
Well, it's good to hear from Kellogg.
It's good that he's.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear that coming out from Kellogg. But I mean, I appreciate the analysis and that Brian provides. But I really do think there is also something to it. This whole, and it's weird that he would choose a 3-day. I mean, what were the dates that he was proposing for the 3
May
days?
8 through 10. May 8 through 10.
8 through 10. Yeah, during victory. Yeah, sure.
I have a question about that.
Strategically, I can see that argument, but you have to also understand that like this is a huge, huge day in the Russian calendar, and once upon a time in the Ukrainian calendar. But Ukrainians now, I don't want to say celebrate. They mark the anniversary of the end of the Second World War very solemnly. There aren't parades. There aren't like guys doing cosplay in 1945, uniforms and T-54 tanks. Right. That doesn't happen in Ukraine. Ukraine marks the day as that period of the ceasefire very somber. It's not a celebration. It's a shitload of us died in this conflict. In Moscow,
in the middle of it. Like that's the other thing. The Ukrainians died born on the battlefield,
Yeah.
essentially, of where this was fought out. Right. Like Poland.
Right. And I've been in Moscow many, May 9th celebrations, and they're literally celebrations. It's joyous. Our victory over fascism, our victory over Europe.
Right.
That's part of it now. That's been adapted into the celebration is over the decadent West that basically, I mean, there's even the conspiracy theory in Russia that like the West played Nazi Germany so that eventually they would then turn on Russia and attack because it's always this Western conspiracy to destroy them.
Here's my question.
Right. But again, it's that just one last quick point is you got to understand the mentality of what the Second World War has become within Russia. And again, it is religion. It is not history. These guys, it's a sense of identity and it's deeply ingrained. So for him to say we want a ceasefire during this period is because I think he understands that there's a certain element within Ukraine, and I don't know how prevalent it is, and I don't know if I agree with it or not, but that they would love to smack the victory. It would be great to send a drone in the middle of the victory. Day
one of the things
night.
I saw was that like Russian or Ukrainian drones will make an appearance in the Victory Day parade or whatever. Here's my question, and this is sort of a bigger existential question about the whole thing. Why would you have a ceasefire when you're to celebrate you're beating the Nazis if you're telling everyone you are currently fighting Nazis? Why would you pause fighting Nazis to celebrate the last time you beat Nazis? If you're fighting Nazis, you would arguably that would be the big day of fighting, fuckhead. Like, why? Duh. That part drives me nuts. We're going to take a pause from fighting Nazis, and the place is full of Nazis and Nazis everywhere, and Nazis all over the Ukrainian Nazis, and we're going to stop fighting those Nazis that are here right now, alive, and trying to Nazify us to celebrate the last time
I got an answer.
the U.S. helped us fight the Nazis. Right.
Yeah, I got an answer for you because they think that Ukraine should be celebrating as well. That Ukraine should be celebrating as well. But they're upset about the Ukrainians who were seduced away into Nazism, the Bandera crowd and the whole thing. But if it weren't for the seductive West, that Ukrainians understanding the solidarity of standing with Moscow to defeat Germany, to defeat Hitler's Germany, they should be celebrating. And so it's only because they've been seduced away that they're not joining us in this celebration. But we will be so gracious as to stop fighting with them for 3 days because we know that there are elements within Ukraine who stand with us, not understanding that, like, in the history of the Second World War, a lot of Ukrainians were like, first and foremost, we've been fighting for independence for hundreds of years. We've already fought a war of arguably a couple of wars of independence to get ourselves away from you. And secondly, we fought against you during the Second World War, not necessarily, although there were some who were like pro, Nazi, but they were all, we just got starved by you motherfuckers.
Right.
You bastards just killed like a quarter of our population by a forced famine.
Right. Bear versus wolf decision. I'm on the side of this. The bear can fuck up the whole camp. The wolf we probably can take later. Side with the wolf, kill the bear, then kill the wolf. But it's like there are mythological stories of that same thing all throughout Northern Europe, all throughout Russia, Ukraine, and stuff. That story, bear versus wolf, is an analogy that has gone on since the Mongols came down through there. I want to bring up one thing, and this goes into
They genuinely do believe that they were. I make the point that they didn't liberate Eastern Europe; they conquered it. Anyhow.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
They genuinely believe that. They genuinely believe that. Anyhow. Sorry. Go ahead.
The journalist Victoria Roshchina, Russia, China, that was a
Oh
Ukrainian
yes.
journalist
Oh yes.
who died in a Russian prison. They returned her body, which they later identified with DNA, as unknown deceased male. They just labeled her body as unknown deceased male. They returned her, and this is fucking. And again, anybody who says, like brings up MTG's support of Russia or that they're the good guys in this equation at all. They returned her missing internal organs, including her brain, her eyeballs, and her larynx.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was fucking poisoned. That either poured down her throat or sprayed in her face. That's how she died. And it whatever the toxin was rotted her brain. They removed her brain, her eyeballs, and her fucking throat. And they delivered her body in January amongst a pile of Ukrainian fighters that they were returning the corpses of, marking her as unknown dead male. This is her. She's a Ukrainian journalist who was held in one of the worst prisons over there. They labeled her body 757. They delivered it. Oh my God. They delivered it on fucking Valentine's Day, on February 14th. With the Cyrillic letters CNAC. And it was marked as, where is it? The official cause of death was extensive damage to the coronary arteries. Like she had a fucking heart attack. Like this is what MTG, this is what Tucker Carlson, this is what they're fucking rooting for. There is not a single example that the Russians could ever fucking give of an equivalent situation from the Ukrainian side or the U.S. side or any other group that was in there at all. Not at all. Not even close. Period. There's no whataboutism in this. There's no but the other side, nothing. There has not been a single situation where Ukraine sends a desecrated corpse of a journalist back to Russia with their fucking brains spooned out of their goddamn head. And this is what drives me crazy about these fucking like Putin apologists in our government and in our media, because it fucking makes my skin burn that these assholes tap dance around this. And I want somebody in the House to go, this is what we're dealing with. Occasionally we got some great Dems in the House that are on these committees with MTG and these others. And the minute I want them to have this fucking article and this story available to them at all times, that if Marjorie Taylor Greene brings up not 1 inch east, none of that fucking NATO shit, they started it, blah, blah, blah. Hold this fucking story up and go, there is no equivalent on our side or their side, the Ukrainian side, of this kind of behavior. This is Russia in its purest fucking form. Just fucking brutal. Ugh.
And the war's been going on for over 3 years, and you have the entire international press corps is here openly working. That includes Chinese, that includes Brazilians, Indians, South Africans, all the BRICS nations, right? They have press individuals who are here. Why aren't they digging up stories of, and presumably also on the other line, inside in Russia? But where are all the stories of the torture, the mutilation, the kidnapping, the rape, the kids, this, the that, the other kids, the removal of human rights, violations of Geneva Convention. I don't see a lot of reporting on that, but there's ample reports of the Russians doing stuff. I mean, this is particularly heinous what happened to this girl, but we've heard stories.
Yeah, it's par for the course.
The entire time.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you're right. So for them to say that there's some sort of equivalency with Putin and with what Moscow is doing is just patently wrong. And it comes with some sort of agenda and, should not be dictating what we do in the United States. I mean, like if we have any a true belief in international law, war crimes, keeping people accountable for war crimes, then we should be doing this. And I know I can already hear the cacophony of, well, what about the war crimes that we committed in Iraq and Afghanistan? I was in Iraq. I was in Afghanistan. Bad things happened there. Crimes Abu Ghraib. Obviously everybody jumps to Abu Ghraib.
Shame of the country.
You know what?
We were shamed by
Shame of the country.
As we should.
But you know what?
Right.
But you know what?
Russia's proud of it.
But you know what happened? But you know what? Yeah, exactly. You know what happened? The guys who committed Abu Ghraib went through a legal process. They were held accountable in a military court of justice, and they now you could say they got off lightly, or you could make whatever criticism you want, but there was a process. There was a legal process that was done, and people were held accountable because the people and the public demanded it. And not only that, the military code of justice did.
Yes.
You spend enough time around guys who are in the military, they don't like people that do shit like that,
right?
Because it hurts all of them. Right? You
get captured,
conduct yourself with honor.
Well, and also there's a practical reason for it. You treat prisoners of war, with like at least a modicum of decency, so that the other side, if they capture some of your guys, don't go, well, you did it to our guys, slit. And that's, you're already up against that on a level. You don't add to it and give them an out, essentially, where in the worldview it looks like, 1 for 1. So you do. I mean, there's a process, right? There is none of that in Russia. Just none.
No,
let's be abundantly clear.
Not
None
only
of that. They get
proud of
rewarded for it.
They're proud of it.
Yeah.
Well, they get rewarded for it, and they're proud of it. And part of it is because they have a mentality of, we're going to be the worst that we can be, so you should be afraid of us. That we're gonna. There is no limit for us. There is all these rules that you guys have with the Geneva Convention and all the rest of it. That's all naivete. That's all silliness. When you go to war, you go to war, and the barbarity and the brutality is part of it. Well, there's a mentality for that. Okay, sure, if you want to live like that. We don't. Our soldiers generally, and I can say this as personal experience, there is an esprit de corps, and there is also accountability, and there is law, and there is discipline, and there is training, and there's all sorts of things that separate our military from their military.
I want to be clear. Like somebody in the chat is yelling about the CIA specifically, and I would like to point out that we as people are ashamed when the CIA, when it's been found that it's true that they've gone and done terrible things. We have a representative government that pushes back on those kind of things, sets a standard for those kind of things. If somebody breaks the law, it's the having the law that matters. And whether they see enough punishment or whatever is a matter of who runs things. That's why your vote matters. Let me say that fundamentally. That's why you don't piss away your fucking vote.
Americans hate empire. Americans hate extrajudicial killing and actions. That's why we protest it. That's if you are an American, these things are loathe to you. If you come from a country that is different than America, and this is that we are not unique in this, but there are other countries around the world, and this is why I urge Americans to travel more, is because there are other countries around the world where the umbrage, the anger, the frustration that we feel seeing violations of human rights and seeing imperialism and seeing war crimes and seeing extrajudicial killings and things, those upset us. In other countries, that is a source of pride and power. We're not. It's because you're
Well, and
American.
I would argue it's
in
a
so
lot
many
of
ways
times.
that you're not exclusively American,
Right.
But if you come from a country where you have,
Especially Russia, especially like Russia or China or Saudi Arabia,
right,
like those
you're
three
not going to
countries
find
specifically.
that.
Right.
Iran. I would lump Iran in there. I would lump any oligarchy, any theocracy, any autocracy. Yeah, it's.
Barbara's asking about the mineral deal, and I want to get to that in just one second.
The mineral deal.
Yeah. So the
yeah.
We'll talk about like where that is,
It looks like it's coming to a deal. Looks
Yes.
like it's being. Yeah, I guess it's being finalized. Has been finalized.
Yes, and it requires.
Better than we thought it was going to be.
And it requires protection around those areas because they can't exactly extract these minerals if Russia can bomb those areas with impunity. And if they think it's just Ukrainians doing it, that's what'll happen. So you're going to need U.S. or business or private security or contractors or something or French and British troops around there, right? So to do this. So ultimately, even if the deal peters out, or I mean, good God, with the rule with Trump is if he creates a deal, you can apparently leave it whenever you want. But Solovyev, our dear friend over at Channel 1 or whatever at their 60 Minutes, Vladimir Solovyev, the Sean Hannity of Russian television, yesterday said, when Trump had called on Putin, said, stop it and sit down and make a deal and commit to a full ceasefire. Solovyev, and again, this is state media. This is not, you can argue that Sean Hannity is saying exactly what the White House wants them to say, but occasionally he will also speak to the White House as an audience of one, being, a representative of sort of a power class in New York that talks to Sean and goes, hey man, he watches your show. Fucking say something, right? We've seen that multiple times, that audience of one shit that happens at Fox. That never happens at Solovyev. Solovyev is never trying to talk to Putin, it seems. They're talking on behalf. Right.
Yeah.
He says, whether Trump imposes sanctions on us or not, what difference does it make? Trump is not Putin. He does not have the full authority or capabilities. And specifically, when he said, when the Ukrainians said, we're open to a ceasefire, we commit to that ceasefire if you can get the Russians on board, his response was, Zelensky agrees to a complete ceasefire. We couldn't care less what Zelensky agrees with or disagrees with. The mission is not yet fully accomplished. Russia's land is not yet liberated, and the men in uniform are not waiting for Trump. They are carrying out their assigned combat missions. That's not the word of a newsman who's relating a quote from the Kremlin, like even Fox News does quotes from fucking, I don't know, from Pete Hegseth or something. That is a direct response from somebody who has been given overall talking points and is pushing a narrative. But it is sort of stunning that he's, they're like, fuck you, Trump, and fuck this. We're gonna do whatever the fuck we want. And that's the prevailing thing. Like this whole idea that suddenly, we used to be laughed at and now we're respected again, which is what Trump keeps pushing. It seems like Russia had more respect for the United States before he came in.
Well, I mean, they laugh at Trump no matter what. I mean, they think he's buffoonish, and they think he's being played by Putin. That Putin's playing the violin, and Trump is dancing to it. And they might not be wrong. And they're gonna do stuff like that. I mean, but what's interesting is also that increasingly now the mineral deal could change the dynamic because there's something in it for Trump. So maybe that provides some assistance to Ukraine. But both Ukrainians and Europeans, I get the overwhelming perception on this side of the Atlantic, have already said, fuck you, Trump. and it doesn't matter. They're prepping to go at this alone, without American support. And you know what? I think they can do it. I really do.
I know they can.
You know,
and
I mean,
and
all
on
the
top
doom
of that,
and gloom.
yeah, it's a little silly. There's been a report that that their Delta program that they have, which is this weapon system they use with their drones and the coordination of their drones and all that kind of stuff, is so advanced that like NATO countries are going to buy it from them. So that starts a direct trade for trade thing. We could buy it with cash, or we can give you other shit, and that allows us to increase our NATO spending and at the same time provide you with other stuff. So that swap out is an easy route for them to get around anything, you know, that Trump would pressure people against. But according to Ukrainian officials, the United States wants Ukraine to sign both the framework agreement for the mineral deal and the detailed fund agreement at once, thus completing the deal in one fell swoop. Kyiv, for its part, insists it cannot sign both documents on Wednesday because the fund agreement must be ratified by the Rada. So the like how it happens versus how it gets funded has to happen in two parts. Trump thinks everything operates with an executive order and treaties could just be scratched off. Other countries operate different ways. A source familiar with the U.S. position, this is according to the Financial Times, who apparently have people engaged in this, probably Witkoff, with the U.S. position, said the talks are not completed as the Ukrainian side attempted to renegotiate the terms over the weekend. That's the separation of those two pieces, which they just said, whatever. One of the Ukrainian negotiators expressed disappointment with the U.S. position. It seems like nothing is enough for them. We're ready to sign the framework part today, noting that the probability of signing is estimated at 50-50. That's the current place right now. And it's because Trump wants to announce a finalized deal when they have to vote on the finalized deal. And they have a government as well. He wants to override their country's government. And the issue with it is that, I mean, it goes right to his fucking Atlantic interview where he's saying, I run the country and the world. Which, by the way, he just said that, and then he says, I would be the Pope, I'd be a great Pope, whatever. Like, again, Timu Antichrist strikes again. He's checking all the boxes for the Antichrist, but just dumb. He's the oh, hello there, Antichrist. That's who this is. It's so fucking embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's just you know. I have a colleague at the show who is desperate for the war to end. I mean, she's just like, whatever. And even she is like, well, this mineral, you know, Zelensky has to sign this thing, but we also have to put it through the Rada.
Right.
You know, and you know, she wants it signed because she's convinced that it'll incentivize America to defend those lands, and so there'll be a reason for them to be more aggressive in providing support to Ukraine. And if that's the case, if that's what ends up happening, I'm all for it.
Right.
But where she and I get into a bit of an argument is there's also the other thing about the ceasefire and kind of any kind of peace plan where if the Russians walk away with anything even resembling a victory, they'll just come back. So they're the four, primarily what I'm concerned about is the four oblasts, which they don't even control. Okay, so I want to make this perfectly clear. I've been racking my brain about how to make a analogy to this, but it's as if Mexico invaded California, took San Diego, and then in negotiations with Washington said, because we have San Diego, we want everything up to the Oregon border. We want San Francisco, we want Los Angeles, because we're already in California. It's only a matter of time. Eventually we'll take it. We're already in San Diego, so give us San Francisco. And it's like, no, man, just because you own a sliver of Kherson Oblast doesn't mean you get to take the entire oblast. Just because you have a sliver of control in Zaporizhia doesn't mean you get to now we have the city, we have the capital city because we own a couple villages on. So and we did a referendum in quotation marks. So we want these the mineral deal as it is. I can swallow. The negotiating points that are being put forward by Russia for the ceasefire are completely unacceptable, and in my opinion, will be DOA in Ukraine and will not. I mean, like, if Zelensky agrees to those terms, he'll be kicked out of office. I mean, controlling the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, there's some wiggle room on that about how exactly you could do that. The idea of never joining NATO or never buying any more weapons. You can't buy any more weapons from the West. DOA.
It's ridiculous.
Non-starter.
Yeah, it's stupid. That's not going to be that will never get through anyway. I would also say on top of that the control of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant in the context of how much power AI drains and how those kind of power plants are much more meaningful technologically, both for Europe or whatever country has them, raises the stakes on them more than 10 years ago, or much less 5 years ago. The Europeans are playing a major part of this, and one of the things that the European Union, who is says Russia must bear responsibility for the war against Ukraine. There can be no impunity. According to the EU at the representative at the UN Security Council, they have insisted on the need to hold Russia.
She gave a great speech.
Right. There can be no impunity. Russia and its leadership must bear full responsibility for waging a war of aggression and other most serious crimes under international law. Don't get me started on fucking Sudan and Darfur and fucking like Burkina Faso and all the places where the fucking Wagner guys are running around terrorizing and tormenting people. According to the document, Ukraine has demonstrated its readiness to accept a comprehensive and immediate ceasefire without preconditions. Instead of reciprocating, Russia has intensified its ruthless attacks on the civilian population of Ukraine and civilian infrastructure. This is the part where Trump actually responded on Truth Sinkhole, and which he's, by the way, I don't know if you know this. The new news is he's converting it to a crypto and lending company. So it's going from a media company with its ancillary little Truth Social in a corner, but the real business of the company will be crypto. Which, by the way, I'm only for one reason, in that Trump's bribe coin, which is what I call it, that he put out, is categorically fucking maggots out of their money. And they are specifically doing it with this scheme. He just offered you can come to the White House if you're one of the big holders of Trump's fucking bribe coin, and you're on this leaderboard. If you're in the top 100, he does this. You could come to his Washington golf course, and then the top 20% of those folks get to have a dinner thing with him at the White House. Okay. So what does mean biggest holders? Does that mean the people with the biggest amount of money in it? No, because the people with the biggest amount of money are the people who do it under the table. The fucking Saudis and the Russian oligarchs and stuff who've bought a ton of it. What they mean are the saps, the local, retail buyers. And the thing is, they announced this. Listen to the fucking timing on this. They announce right before the sale date where they can sell off 25% of their holdings. So it starts off, only 20% of it is for sale. 80% of it is held by Trump and whoever he allowed to fucking snipe ownership, right? And own the beginning of it. And then after a period of time, 25% of that goes on sale, and then another 25%, and then of the 80%, right? So let's say 20% of it goes on sale. Okay. Leading up to that date, as soon as that goes on sale, the price takes a shit. And right before that price that goes on sale, because there'll be more of it available, because more of something is cheaper than having too little of something, right before that goes on sale, right before that dump happens, people start getting out. They slowly start selling off because this might be the peak of that arc, okay? But right as that moment would happen, where that arc would start to drop and the price would go down before the sale, so that they can maximize their sale point for getting rid of some of these shares, these fucking bribe coins. Listen to this. That's when he announces the longest holders of the coin get to come to the White House. That's when he announces that fucking dinner. Like that's the week of it. So literally that's when it will happen, is during that window of the sale point, right before it, so that when that date hits, it will be at its highest point, because everybody will be holding and trying to get as much of it as they can on the retail level, so they can be in the upper 20%, so they can make this trip to the fucking White House and meet Trump and all that stuff. Holy shit. Like, it is the biggest pump and dump. And the only upside is who
And
it's
he's
happening
gonna
to.
hate that night. He's going to hate that night so much with all the rubes.
Oh, God.
Oh, he's going to walk around that room. Hey, how are you? You okay? Good to see you. Okay. Ooh, don't touch me.
He's
Oh.
going to walk in, wave, and leave. These fucking
Yep.
dopes.
He'll
and
work the
again,
room. He'll do a circular of the room, and then you'll never see him again.
See him again, right? And you'll never see your money again, because like within 3
And you'll never
days
see your
after
money
you being
again.
there, they're going to release all this fucking coin, and everything's going to take a shit. They're going to sell at this high point because you suckers bought it up to that point to try and stay in. It's fucking, like, it is so on the nose. And again, if it was happening to good people, I might be upset. And Trump's not going to keep this fucking money. He's never going to live to spend it. He's just going to die an old dizzy fart. It will, believe me, Don Jr. will fucking spend it for a while. It'll be the only thing that keep the buildings paid for a while. And they'll buy a bunch of properties and start a bunch of shit. But as soon as Trump's out of office, that name is fucking mud worldwide. The minute they don't have to kowtow to him, those fucking places become like international targets for fucking terrorism and arson, because everybody's gonna, he's gonna be a living, he'll be an example of the worst. I'm telling you, it's like,
Yeah,
it's,
no,
this business model
and I'm with
sucks.
you. I don't. My sympathy for the rubes who do this, there's a certain amount, but it greatly diminished because you're goddamn adults. So you are dumb enough to buy into this. You're being suckered. You're buying the monorail, and I'm sorry that the monorail is going to be a piece of shit when the huckster leaves town. And I feel bad for those guys on that kind of level. On that,
I would say the boring tunnel.
Sure.
Take your Tesla. You know what? That might the Tesla tube underneath the ground might be the best place to drive one of those fucking things, because at least you'll get fewer middle fingers because there's nobody in the lane next to you.
I was referring to the Great Simpsons episode, but I mean, it's like, you buy into the monorail, that, all great, fine. You're stupid.
Right.
You get what you deserve. What bothers me is that the huckster's going to leave town with a bushel full of money, and it's going to go to no good. It's going to go to absolutely no good. So, I wish they weren't as stupid as they are to give him their money. That I feel sorry for him regardless. But the problem is that it's also going to now fund God only knows what.
Right.
So
I gotta say,
we built a kleptocracy. We have had it. No, we didn't build a kleptocracy. A kleptocracy was built, and we let it happen.
Yeah.
Despite our best efforts.
That's on
and,
us. Yes, that's on us as voters to rescind that, and it is looking increasingly like there's a wake up call happening across perhaps the independents that may have floated Trump's way about the border, and that and ultimately you may have a situation where Democrats, but either through the previous rule and then improving funding for asylum judges, try to right some of the wrongs of what Trump's doing, but ultimately the border remains basically closed for a decade because the idea is that the voters have spoken and like pulling that back. But wait till a Democrat becomes president and they start the Republicans start complaining about the funding for the border. Wait till they start wanting, it's too expensive. We're borrowing money. We shouldn't have to do this. You're welcoming people. Whatever their fucking story will be, it'll be hilarious. But I what I want, like, I'm not going to let the who Putin and his leaders are slip by. Nobody gets to fucking tap dance around this any more than like Peanut Butter Dickhead and his co-hosts get to pretend that Donald Trump wasn't the best friends that Jeffrey Epstein ever fucking had. Period.
I've been out to the mass grave at Izium. I've been out to Bucha. I've been to Hostomel. I've spoken to countless people who have the testimony from these areas where the Russians, and there's no comparison. There's absolutely no comparison to what the Ukrainians are doing to, Russian prisoners of war, or even the attacks that are conducted into Russia.
Well,
they
this is
do
why,
not,
this is even why we were against Reagan for Iran Contra. This is why we were against Bush for fucking Abu Ghraib and his dipshit Iraq, then Afghanistan, then Iran, the 7-country plan that PNAC was floating around. That's why we protested. That's why we got into the streets. And quite frankly, as long as it took, it did not extend. During Obama, it didn't, and Biden shut down Afghanistan. We finally got out of there because of that. Trump, his whole, we didn't have any wars, all the wars that existed at the time continued on unabated. He didn't stop anything. All he did was not come to the rescue of black people in Africa who were being slaughtered by the Wagner mercs. That's all he did. What he meant by not starting any new wars is that he just let Russia have whatever the fuck they wanted. He gave them a base in Syria, if you'll recall, when he let the Kurds
stuck the Kurds right under the bus.
Right, and he which is again a war you allow to happen. But this is the base. The base he gave to the Russians is the base that the Iranians flew arms to Hezbollah and Hamas through. So, that's the base. It's a fucking junction point. It's like that 80s movie Deal of the Century or Gods of War. That's exactly where that shit occurs. And he gave them a secure base to use. A fucking it's just and the people that are he didn't start any wars, he's not starting any wars. This motherfucker is trying to bomb Mexico and Iran. Yes, and people are saying Deal of the Century, underrated. Absolutely. Look, anything with Gregory Hines that didn't get an Oscar just for his performance is underrated. Gregory Hines, we love you. We miss you. God damn, that dude was good. So, just a little touch-up on your flame job. Jesus Christ. I mean, I'll fanboy on him forever. Okay, we're at the end of the show. I want to remind everybody, Phil's got a show called On the Edge. Please subscribe. Please watch. Please check out the show and understand the personal cost and the personal reality of Ukrainians during this war. And I'm not flagging on this at all, and neither is Phil till we see this thing through. And I appreciate you being on here, brother.
It's a little bit of a cheat this week. I let somebody else interview me, so I don't have to do a lot of editing. My good friend Terrell. I'm stealing his interview with me, but it's my birthday this week, and frankly I'm tired, so I'm gonna take off the week and kind of chill a little bit. But we'll be back fully, and it's also a good interview. It's a good interview if you do say so yourself. From the terms of. Well, I was the interviewee, so actually it's on Terrell to provide it. He's the one that's got to bring the chops as an interviewer, and he does quite well because he's a smart guy. But it does allow the audience to if you want to hear what I think, because instead of me asking questions, somebody asked me the questions. If you want to hear my perspective on some bigger picture stuff, that's what I'm about this week. Aside from the fact that I'm kind of slacking off.
Yeah, it's okay. Everybody in the chat is wishing you a happy birthday, I would like to say, for the record. So,
all right, good.
Yeah, so you are beloved,
right,
and every time something gets blown up in Ukraine, we all immediately worry about you. And I appreciate you being on.
Very kind, but it's not my first rodeo.
Yeah, I understand, and I don't want it to be your last. That's our concern. So be safe, and we will see you soon,
I
my
do,
friend.
but in very different terms, because I want my last rodeo to be done, and then I'm off doing nice things. All right,
exactly.
I'll talk to you on
Travel
Saturday.
show where you get to try all the food. You're the next.
There you go. Oh, yeah. I'm down.
Yeah, you and Stanley
I'm
Tucci.
all for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you,
yeah.
brother.
Okay.
Cheers.
I'll talk to you on Saturday. All
Saturday.
right,
Yeah.
bye-bye.
All right, excellent. And thank you guys as well. Happy. Everybody's appreciate you guys saying happy birthday. I would like to say, oh, let me bring in the chat just because I can. Think there you are. Thank you guys for. I didn't know it was his birthday till just now too. Shit. Nobody ever tells me their birthdays until after. It always takes me a while, and then I anybody have the problem with like your like the old contact form in like Apple and in a lot of the early contact forms, the longer you've known somebody, that they sometimes the birthday will default to the day you added them to your contract or your contacts. You know what I'm saying? So it thinks their age started that, so they're like 3 years old, or their birthday is on that day, whatever you put in there, right? It's kind of aggravating. You can understand how like yeah, sorry, Water Goddess. I'm the only person with that problem, clearly. Have a great show last Sunday to Phil. Excellent. I'll pass it on. Pencil me in for May 7th. You're 63. When I'm 64. We'll sing to you next year. How about that? And in better times or whatever. Oh, thank you, Water Goddess. Yes, my birthday is the same as my mom's, 9/25. 69. Obviously, she was born earlier than that. I was born on my mom's 25th birthday on the 25th of September. Isn't that cool? All right. Anyways, much love to you guys. I will see you this afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. And boy, we're going to look at the ABC interview all the way through. I think there are some slices of his rally where he was clearly fucking hammered or exhausted or both. Same day as Harry Dunn. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So we'll cover a bunch of those later on because holy hell. But I have no doubt we're going to see, and CSL knows this, I'm sure he's seen this as well. There are a bunch of these, sorry. Okay. There are a bunch of people like, where I'm scrolling through, whatever, on the right who are trying to find a way to turd polish. I need to make like a little award that we can hand out. I have an idea. It might take my 3D printer a little, might take too long to get it before the next show, but we'll see. I'm running. I'm going to go. Now I'm excited. Hold on. Because I was already making the gold ad thing, and now I'm just on a creative streak. So I will see you guys later. And I'm going to drop by Boston Brian's show to tell him how much I love him and debate words later on, because I adore, respect, and care about him as a human being. And I couldn't be prouder to be around him. And I also want to say, for the record, subscribe to his show. He's got a show on Sundays on the regular, and he's doing Wednesday nights now. Just subscribe to his channel. Help him get his numbers up. Can of turd polish. That's a great idea. So I will see you guys later on this afternoon, okay? Are we rating, Brian? Well, that would be after the show tonight. Yeah. Maybe I'll just run straight into that, and then we can raid, and I'll just hop on or something. Yes. Something along those lines. Thank you for the super chat as well. Oh, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Robin.